morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, February 22nd, 2016. I am Dave Biddle, and I am joined by the one and only Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. Bill, how you doing on this fine morning here in Columbus?
Very well, thanks. And how about you?
Doing great. Been enjoying this weather, that's for sure, although it's going to get a little messy later this week. But, good news yesterday on the site. Steve Wiltfong, National Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports, crystal balled 5-star defensive end Joshua Kaindoe to the Buckeyes. And he's only ranked as the number 1 weak side defensive end in the nation in the 2017 class, number 18 overall player in the country. 6'6", 250 pounds already. So I wonder if he's really going to be a weak side defensive end or more of a strong side or maybe even a tackle. But another kid out of IMG, teammates with OSU commits Isaiah Pryor and Marcus Williamson. Sounds like Marcus Williamson really is working him hard. So is this Buckeyes are obviously in the driver's seat. Do you agree with Steve Wiltfong here? And just talk more about Kaindoe.
Well, I do definitely agree. National Signing Day, the next day I did a piece. I called it Presenting the Buckeyes 2017 Recruiting Class, where I predicted what I thought the Ohio State class will look like come National Signing Day. And I had Josh Kaindoe in the class. I like Ohio State's chances. You know, it's going to be a process. Penn State will certainly be in the running and some others. But I tend to like Ohio State's chances. I have a very good source that knows Josh extremely well, and he told me that Josh really, really likes Ohio State. And then I've talked to some other people who told me the same thing, and that it caused me to make my prediction in my story that he will be a Buckeye. And also, Urban Meyer is personally taking a hand in his recruitment. He's actively recruiting Josh, as is Larry Johnson, and like you said, Dave, he would be an absolutely spectacular addition. You know, if indeed Ohio State lands him, you put him with the 2 5-star defensive ends they landed this year, Nick Bosa, of course, and Jonathan Cooper, and boy, you've got a tremendous trio of defensive end prospects.
I mentioned Wiltfong has crystal balled Kaindoe to the Buckeyes. You said you predicted he's going to go there on the site. Have you also crystal balled him to the Bucks?
Have not crystal balled him yet. But again, if I was going to make that crystal ball right now, there's no doubt in my mind where I would make it. That crystal ball would be to Ohio State as well.
And let's talk about IMG, an academy that used to be known for tennis back in the day, and they've grown exponentially over the years. Our first year fielding a football team was just 2013, so they've only had 3 years where they've actually fielded a football team. They've had camps down there for longer, I realize that. And the good news for the Buckeyes is it's becoming a little bit of a mini pipeline. They already have all the inroads with St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, one of the best programs in the country. Now, IMG becoming a football factory down there. Kaindoe's from there, Isaiah Pryor, Marcus Williamson. There's, guys that are coming in for Ohio State this year from IMG. Talk a little bit about that, just Ohio State's presence down there and how well they're doing. And also compare and contrast to Michigan and maybe some other schools that are really going up against the most for the IMG prospects.
Well, you mentioned, Ohio State's got a couple guys that are on campus right now from IMG. Tyler Gerald, the big offensive lineman who was originally from Sciotaville East High School near Portsmouth. And then Malik Barrow, the defensive tackle that is at Ohio State right now. They both were at IMG last year. Unfortunately, both had their seasons cut short with injuries, but they are at Ohio State right now. And, Malik Barrow, by the way, is someone that also, while he was down there at IMG, was working on Josh Kaindoe as well. So, there's some great ties there. And then you mentioned Marcus Williamson, Isaiah Pryor, 2 Ohio State commitments that are at IMG right now. And there's a host of other prospects. There's just so much talent at that school. Teron Vincent, the outstanding defensive tackle class of 2018, very high in Ohio State right now, is at IMG. And Robert Hainsey, a 2017 offensive lineman, has Ohio State as one of his top choices. We could spend an entire show just on IMG and the guys at that school that Ohio State is recruiting that they could possibly land. That's how much of how many inroads Ohio State has now. And it's interesting, everybody's making a big deal out of Jim Harbaugh doing a few practices, spring practices down there at IMG. I believe they're going to be there for a week. I believe 4 practices, I think, is what they're planning on right now. But really, the big deal is Ohio State and how well they're doing at IMG, more so than Michigan being down there right now. I would have to think that that'll help Michigan some, but still, Michigan signed no one from IMG last year. And we'll see if they sign someone this year. Perhaps they will. But right now, Ohio State is the Big Ten school that's really taking advantage of IMG. And, Dave, when you put IMG with Fort Lauderdale Aquinas High School and the inroads Ohio State has there, you're talking about the two of the premier elite programs football-wise in Florida, but in the entire country. And Ohio State is doing a spectacular job at both schools.
Yeah, too bad Urban Meyer doesn't have any previous coaching ties to the state of Florida, or they might be really doing well down there.
Yeah.
That's my little joke there. You only won a couple national titles for the Florida Gators. Already a great class for the Buckeyes, and we can debate on later shows how many they're going to have in this class. But already have 11, tremendous class, number one class in the country, of course, 24/7 Sports Composite. Only, about 11 months and change till signing day. A lot's going to change. But still, the bottom line is this is shaping up to be a phenomenal class. Tell the listeners, Bill, the remaining needs for Ohio State in this 2017 class.
Well, one of the good things is that this class so far, and I like to say, you win up front, offensive and defensive lines, and right now, I don't know that things could be going too much better for Ohio State, the class of 2017, than on both sides of the line. You've got Josh Myers, who is the top offensive lineman in the country, committed to Ohio State. You've got Jake Moretti, who is another one of the country's elite offensive linemen. They've got commitments from those two, and then you switch to the defensive side of the ball, and what's the main need right now is defensive tackle. So you've got Haskell Garrett, who is the country's number 4 defensive tackle prospect, and then you've got Jerron Cage, who is one of the country's best. He's the top defensive tackle in Ohio. So that's the nice thing. They're building it from up front, both sides of the ball with great players. They've got to finish that off. They'd like to get at least one more defensive lineman, a great defensive end in the class. Kaindoe or Chase Young would be another very outstanding possibility that they would like to get. Maybe even get another defensive tackle in the class, an elite guy like maybe an Aubrey Sullivan, who is very high at Ohio State. They're going to get at least one more, I feel confident saying, outstanding offensive lineman in the class, maybe 2. So I feel, they'll fill out the rest of both sides of the line. They're doing about as well as you can get at the back end of things defensively with Marcus Williamson, who was named the Alpha Dog at the yesterday in Orlando, Florida, at the opening. So that's a great honor for Marcus Williamson. They've also got Isaiah Pryor committed and Sean Wade, who is about as good as it gets at cornerback. They're going to go for a couple more defensive backs in the class, certainly, and the great news is they have a chance at some really great ones. And then you look at wide receiver, they've got a chance at some of the premier wide receiver prospects in the country. Trayvon Grimes, for instance, Jalen Harris, and I could go on and on that list as well. So, that's another area that they're going to look to fill. Tight end, not as big a need. They have wanted one, but not a huge need this recruiting cycle. And then you look at the running back position. They've got Todd Sibley, but they want to add one more great running back to the class. So really, that just leaves one other slot that I haven't mentioned, and that's linebacker. And they signed several outstanding ones, led by Keandre Jones this year. I look for them to sign 2 or 3 more. And I guess if you had to pinpoint, that'd be the place right now that would be a major emphasis, since they don't have any linebackers in the class at this point.
It's going to be so fun to follow this class, already 11 strong. So, a lot of people think they're more than halfway done, but we'll see what happens. I tend to think they're going to finish with 22 or 23 in this class. Maybe I'm on an island there, but it's going to be fun to watch them finish out this outstanding class. I'm going to close the show with some Ohio State basketball.
And Dave,
go ahead.
And Dave,
go ahead.
I should mention real quick that I said they don't have a line. They don't have a pure, true linebacker right now in the class. But I think Brendan White is going to end up at linebacker for Ohio State, and he's a great prospect. This will transition well into your next topic there, basketball. You started to get on. Brendan White and I saw him play basketball a couple of weeks ago, and he's just a man among boys on the basketball court, and I think he's going to be eventually a great linebacker for Ohio State.
And Isaiah Pryor's listed as a linebacker now, too, according to 24/7 Sports, correct, as an outside linebacker?
Correct, but in my What I Am Hearing, I kind of go over that, and I talk about, as readers can see if they haven't already seen it on our site, they probably have, but if they haven't, talk about Brendan White and Isaiah Pryor and exactly what positions they look to play at Ohio State.
Sounds good. Set me straight there. So Isaiah Pryor, sounds like in your opinion right now you still think he's going to be a safety?
Yeah, I do. And, again, that's in the What I Am Hearing. I think that, I still feel like he is going to be a safety, a big, maybe a little bit bigger safety, maybe more like a tailor-made safety, but I do think he is going to be a safety.
I love big safeties. If people think if like you're a big safety and you can run and you're big, you might move in the middle to outside linebacker. There's nothing wrong with having a big safety back there. I mean, I love that idea. So everybody read Bill Kurelic's What I Am Hearing. I obviously have not read that yet. I've been busy killing myself trying to play basketball with a bunch of kids much younger than me, and have no business playing full court basketball. Speaking of basketball, it looked like Ohio State had no business playing basketball there for a while this season, but they have turned the season around. Now, everybody knows you, Bill, as the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting. You're also a former football coach, but you're also a former head varsity basketball coach here in the Columbus area, so that's something maybe the listeners didn't know about. Some listeners, I'm sure, do know that. So, former head varsity basketball coach. Anyway, the basketball Buckeyes beat Nebraska 65-62 in overtime in Lincoln Saturday night to keep their very slim NCAA hopes alive. Buckeyes now 18-10 overall and 10-5 in Big Ten play. Bill, usually winning 10 games or more in Big Ten is more than enough to get in the NCAA tournament. This year appears a little different because the wins haven't been that good except for Michigan in the Big Ten and then the Kentucky win. Now, the Buckeyes do host Michigan State tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on ESPN, Tuesday night. Then they host Iowa on Sunday, then finish the regular season at Michigan State on March 5th. Bill, I think they need to win 2 of these last 3 regular season games to get in the NCAA tournament as an at-large. Your take, sir?
Well, I think if they win 2 of them, they should get in. They doing as well in the Big Ten as they have. If they win 2 of these games, and that's going to give them 2 more quality wins, and I think that should get them in. I think unfortunately, if they only win 1, they probably will be left out. But I think it would be. And again, I don't know exactly where Ohio State will finish in the standings, but I think if they are to win 2 and don't get in, I just think that would be kind of a disservice because I think they would have earned that with that couple more wins. Now, having said that, I still, people are a little bit down on Ohio State basketball, some people at least, not right now, but, I still look at, what's ahead. They've got a very young team, and, I just think Ohio State's going to be a pretty darn good basketball team next year. I think they're not too bad this year, but I think, Thad Matta has done over the years an outstanding job, and I think next year that's going to be a pretty formidable basketball team coming back.
I agree with you on 2 major points there. I think they're going to be very good next year. I keep saying that. People are like, what do you see to make you think they're going to be very good next year? A lot of things. I see that, this is a team that continues to come together. They're very athletic. I like the 2 centers. I just think they're going to be a very good team next year. And you also touched on if they win 2 of these next 3, they should get in, and I agree. They will get in, I think, if they win 2 of these next 3 regular season games. Let's say that because they would be 12-6 in Big Ten play. Then they would have quality wins over Kentucky, Michigan, and then 2 of Michigan State and Iowa, or maybe they sweep Michigan State, which I really can't imagine they're going to do that. But let me throw this scenario at you before we finish the show. Let's say they win 1 of these next 3. So they finish the regular season 19-12 overall. They finish 11-7 in Big Ten play. Okay, so it's 11-7. Like normally, again, that would be you're just a lock to get in, but maybe not this year with their RPI in the 70s. Let's say they didn't win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament on top of that. So finish 21-13 and then lose. So finish 21-13 overall. Do you think they get in?
I think they should. Now, whether they will or not, that's pretty questionable. But I think if that scenario played out, I think they should get in. As you mentioned, 11-7 in the Big Ten, that usually gets you there. And it's not like the Big Ten is a bad conference this year. You've got Iowa, you've got Maryland up there, and then Michigan State, of course, and other good teams. It's still a strong conference, and if you finish 11-7 in the Big Ten, to me, that should be enough. And I know it's the quality wins. They wouldn't have a lot of them, but how you finish in a very good conference, to me, should stand for quite a bit.
I agree with you. If they finish 11-7, I think they still have to win 2 games then, at least in the Big Ten tournament, to finish, get up to 21 wins. I think then at 21-13, 11-7 in conference play, a couple wins in that Big Ten tournament, I think then they would sneak in. We'll see. I've been saying all year, no way, NIT, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and then we'll see what happens. But anyway, I agree with you. Next year they're going to be phenomenal. Thank you very much to the Dean of Ohio State Football Recruiting, Bill Kurelic. Really appreciate it, Bill. Thanks to the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I hope you have a great day. Play that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.